Exception, a very important yet often neglected concept in programming. When you try to compile or run your program, there can be a time when your application gets unexpected data or do not know what to do next. It's an embarrassing time for your program. In those cases, the program might give the user an error, or in the language of programming, it might throw an exception. This exception will crash your application, and in some cases, the application might not even compile. Hence, it's very important to understand why an exception occurs, why it might occur, and how to handle those cases so that our application does not crash. Now let's see an example of it, and in the future videos of this playlist, I'll show you how to handle it and throw your own exceptions. So let's get started. Okay, so it's a pretty simple program. Let's take a look what's happening here. First of all, we have an instance of the scanner class here so that we can take input from the user through the console. Next, we are prompting the user to enter X, and we are scanning that input and storing it to a very integer type variable called X. Next, we are doing the same thing but with Y, and we are scanning an integer, storing it to variable Y. After that, we are basically just dividing X with Y and storing it into an integer variable called result. And finally, we are just printing out the result. Alright, that's pretty simple code. Let's go ahead and run this. For X, let's go ahead and enter 4. For Y, let's go ahead and enter 2. So, and it prints out 2, right? So that's expected. That's what we expected. That's what should happen in our program. Now let's see another scenario. I'm gonna rerun this program. And now for X, I'll just, as like before, I'll just enter 4 here. But for Y, I'm gonna enter 0. Now, if you have a basic knowledge of mathematics, you already know that nothing is divisible by 0. So 4 divided by 0 is undefined. We cannot define that. Let's see how our program handles that. When I press enter, you see I'm getting an exception here, or you can also call it an error, but exception is more of a programmer's way of saying it. It's basically a fancy word, but okay, we should call it exception. And let's go ahead and read it, right? It says that exception in thread main. Now if you don't have any idea about thread, don't worry about it. It's not related to this topic, but just to give an idea, thread is basically where your program executes, the instructions execute. Let's continue reading. It says that it has thrown, I'm just adding that, java.lang.arithmetic exception. This is the name of that exception. And why this exception has occurred goes after this column. It says the exception occurred because we are trying to divide by 0, and as we know that it's not possible. We cannot divide by 0. So that's why the exception occurred, and it crashed our application. This is exactly why we should learn about exception handling and apply them where necessary, so that our user do not have a bad user experience. Now just up below this line, we have another line that's saying that where the exception has occurred. So as you can see, it has occurred in main.java at line 18. I click on it, it says it has occurred exactly here. Now this is very helpful for debugging because I know where this exception has occurred and how I need to fix it. Actually, I will show you how to fix it in the future videos, so do subscribe to this channel. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. That's what exception is, and you might actually have faced it before. Trust me, you might actually have faced it before when you try to, let's say I have an integer type result and I try to set a variable called hi. So I am now here, as you can see, it's giving me a little red squeaky here, and it shows that required type is integer, but we provided a string here, and that's because this variable is of type integer and we cannot put a string there. That is also an exception. And if we try to run it again, just to show you what I mean, it's showing that Java incompatible type. This is called a compile time exception, and I'll explain those later in the next episode. To subscribe to this channel. And that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video, and please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.